All right, y'all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I am live with Coco, apparently. So, y'all, I need y'all to tap in. Make sure you like my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. I am actually Facebook Live. I'm getting ready to be Instagram Live. I am YouTube Live. So, make sure that you subscribe, y'all. So, I wasn't actually going to go live today for real, but I wanted to make sure um that I kept my promise and actually go live, right? And actually just like be consistent with the show and not just like here and there, right? Because it's consistency that matters. So here I am, y'all, it's the end of the year. We only got what, like one more week? So like a few more days really left in
It's
this year,
rolling.
right? So
Yeah.
I want to just kind of, end this year with a bang. We're gonna have fun. We got our most wanted guest back. We got Katie. We got Kevin. What's up?
What up, though? What's good? What's the deal, family? Peace to everybody out there. Thank you, Miss Nikki, Ivy, Nicole, for having me again on She Evolves. It's always a pleasure. Glad to be here today. Thank you.
Oh my God, you are welcome. So listen, y'all, we are going to actually jump into this conversation. We are going to talk about all things relationships, right? So, I can always sit here and talk to myself and throw out stats, but I don't want to be biased in the conversation. So it's always important for when you're having a conversation about relationships, so you don't be biased to have the opposite sex on the platform with you is very important because it actually lays an important, very strong foundation into the conversation. So, I want to talk about the rules of relationships. Who makes the rules?
Mm.
Who makes the
Who
rules?
makes the
Who makes
rules?
the rules in relationships? Because ideally, right, the way that the order goes, so to speak, is um, you fall in love, you get married, you have kids. But we already know in the black community that's not the proper order, right? But is there a proper order? Is there such thing as someone saying, I don't want kids? Is that okay? Right? Because it's always that pushback with society and others when a woman, as myself, says, I don't want kids, I don't have kids. So, it's always the fact like, oh, who's gonna take care of you when you get old? Who are you gonna leave your money to? Who are you gonna leave your legacy to? What's gonna happen? Let's be honest, right? If I have kids today, let's say I have 5 kids, there's no guarantee that those 5 kids are going to take care of me when I get old, right? I
Maybe
mean,
not all five of them.
right? I mean, but like, is there like a rule, a written rule saying if you have kids, that child has to take care of you to the day you die, right? Because you can't always depend on that, right? You can have kids, and your kids can be like, "Screw you, I'm gonna go do my thing. I'm gonna do my own. I'm gonna live my own life," right? Whatever the reason it may be, there's no guarantee that that's how your life will turn out. So, why is it a pushback from society when a woman says, I don't desire marriage nor kids?
Hmm. It's interesting that you mentioned that. Your question essentially was who sets the rules in relationships. And I immediately think, well, it's a consensus between two adults, essentially. Two individuals who hopefully are in their right mind and who are properly equipped to be able to conduct themselves in a relationship to whereas it's a reciprocal bond. It's not one person getting all their needs met while the other is slaving away doing everything under the sun to try to appease the other. it's unfortunate that we've been conditioned by society to adhere to that type of behavior in our relationships. I often reflect back in a sense when you look at how relationships were previously. Oftentimes we are forced to reflect back on relationships like they were in like the 50s and the 60s, where the mother or the female is, stay at home, take care of the house, take care of the children, rear the children and whatnot, while the male, the father, goes to work, and comes home, and, the cycle sort of repeats. But it's really interesting how things have changed. I mean, they say it's nothing new under the sun, but at the same time, you look at the standards by which we occupy. It seems relatively low overall. Is definitely you kind of get an idea of what individuals are about when you see what their priorities are.
Mhm.
Oddly enough, when it comes to relationships, it seems more like dog eat dog in today's society. It seems like a lot of individuals are just looking at relationships as a means of getting something personally, getting their own personal needs met, and that's it. It's really interesting. And I won't say that about all of us, but certainly there's a trend. You see it in social media, you see it in mainstream media, you often hear it in the music that we listen to, on the
Mhm.
radio, the videos we see, etc. That seems like the trend, and it's really it's really odd. It's really unfortunate, but ultimately, it definitely speaks to the conditioning that society has placed upon us. And it's something that we spoke about earlier in terms of being superficial. You know, Oftentimes we go into relationships just looking at the individual that we are dating or who we are pairing with on a superficial level, meaning surface level. In
Mhm.
fact, I took a moment to look up the definition of superficial for the listeners, for all of those who may or may not know. You can access this information as well, but the meaning of superficial is existing or occurring at or on the surface. Another definition is appearing to be true or real only until examined more closely.
Mm.
So it seems like a common theme for many of us going into relationships, to just look at what's on the surface. It's like, and it goes both ways for male and female. It's like males, we may, I mean, the first thing we notice essentially is a woman's body, her figure, and things of that sort. So women adhere more to that, it seems like, more than ever. And it can be really challenging when it comes to dating, because it makes one wonder oftentimes, like, is that all there is that you have to offer? Sometimes we can't really get past that that exterior. Essentially, we don't really often get an opportunity to see what's beyond that, and vice versa for females too. A man has to be a certain way. A man has to present himself in the utmost. He can't be, a struggling, broke guy. He can't be none of that. He got to have something to show for off the top, and that'll determine oftentimes if a woman will take him serious or not. And not saying all women, but it's been relayed to us in a number of ways, again, in media, overall, that is essentially the expectation. And it's kind of crazy, but
Mhm.
again, there are ways of dissecting that and making it to where it's a little more exciting, if we are so inclined, or if we take the time to be able to see for ourselves and look beyond those superficial things. Hope I
Okay.
wasn't too long-winded with that answer. I kind of
Mm-mm.
went
No, no,
around
no,
the
no, no,
world.
no, no, no. So, so my pushback is this, right? So the surface is all you see, right? You can't look
First
at
thing you see.
someone and think, oh, I wonder if they have a good personality. I wonder that person looks like they have a great sense of humor. I mean, you can't, right?
No, no,
Because all
no.
you have to
That's the
go off
first.
of is the exterior, right?
Mm,
Now, of course, as adults, hopefully, as adults, we look at the situation and be like, nah, I'm good. This is all this person got to offer, right? However, you brought up another point, about finances and stability, and I'm 43, right? So you like a man like in that age bracket, you don't have the opportunity to be like, I'm trying to figure out my life. I want to, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, or I think I may want to be this when I grow up. It's almost like at this stage of life, you should be thinking about, in the next 20 years, I'm going to retire, and this is what I plan to do, right? Because you've wasted like how long? Like you start working at what, 15, 16 years old legally, and at
yeah.
40 you still haven't figured out what you want to be when you grow up.
Oh
Whether
yeah.
whether you're in some type of high profile career, or you're doing something, you're working, you're blue collar, you're white collar, you're entrepreneur. I mean, whatever, like, yeah, your bread gotta be right. Because, you know, as a woman, and I think like this is where the gender wars come into play, because it's like, you see it all across social media, where, it's the men attacking women, the women attacking men, and vice versa, right? It's just all over the place, right? It's always the girls club, we're going to team up on the man, and, he ain't this or whatever, right?
Mm.
But it almost is like, well, if I've been Missy dependent for this long, and Miss Independent is not a flex because it's exhausting. I'm saying now. It's exhausting to be Miss Independent. Tiring. I'm tired, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, you can't come as a man and not be the provider that you're supposed to be. Because it says in the Bible, like, God didn't give Adam Eve, but like, before he figured things out. It was after. It was that place where I'm gonna give you time alone to think. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna pour into you. I'm gonna
Mm.
get you prepared for a wife.
Hmm.
You
For
can't
sure.
you can't step like that being unprepared, because essentially, if you want gender roles to go back to the way they were, you have to play the role as the man as if it was the 1950s.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
can't
and
come and say, "Oh, I'm trying to figure things out." I'm gonna be a rapper, and I'm flipping CDs out my car in 2024, and expect a woman to submit and soften. What? You up at Kroger selling CDs, and you want me to
yeah.
submit? You think that I'm gonna trust you to lead? Absolutely
Right. You
no.
it's unfortunate because oftentimes what the issue boils down to is what you just said. It's a lack of preparedness. I often have encouraged my peers, and I've been in a situation where in my own life where I knew for a fact that I wasn't prepared to be in a relationship. I was at a point where I'm trying to figure things out, and you know I need to get myself together, taking self accountability.
Mhm.
And not only is there a lack of that, but there's a lack of, for lack of a better phrase, knowledge of self. One has to take the time to understand who they are and be at their best in order to properly conduct themselves in a relationship. Even dating should wait until one is fully prepared. And what happens oftentimes in the Black community, as you mentioned previously, starting off, we tend to do things a bit out of order. It's like we go to school, for the most part, we go to school, we get out of school, and then we jump into a relationship. And that oftentimes leads to detrimental circumstances because you haven't fully figured out who you are yet or what you want to do in your life. You haven't really gotten yourself out the way. You might have goals to travel the world, or you might want to take a trip, or you might want to go skydiving or something like that. Those are things that, if you go in the proper order of getting yourself together before you devote yourself to a relationship, whether it be, with another individual, having children, all of that, an individual should take care of building themselves up first to their best potential. Then you get into the relationship, you start dating, that leads to marriage and children and everything else.
Mhm.
But again, that's where oftentimes, and I know this firsthand, going out of order. And the reason why we go out of order most oftentimes is because of trauma from our past, from our childhood in particular.
Mhm.
Oftentimes we face neglect from our parents, which leads to, us wanting attention subconsciously. We don't receive enough attention in our childhood. So when we grow up and we gain that independence, that's one of the first things we do. We trying to jump into a relationship. We want to go date because we want to feel accepted, essentially. And so again, not to be super long-winded, but you made some great points on, speaking on the lack of preparedness when it comes to relationships. And I strongly believe that we can have better relationships if we take the time, not be afraid of being by ourselves for some time, and really figuring ourselves out, getting comfortable with ourselves, completely comfortable. That way, we are able to actually see beyond the superficial. It's like when you know yourself, you're able to see everything else a lot more clear because you pretty much got yourself out the way. So you comfortable with who you are. Your self-esteem is built. You're not desperate for attention or anything for that matter. So you are able to see beyond the superficial. Can't no dude just walk up to you with a gold chain on and uh a suit, and I'm just using that hypothetically, but they can't just walk up to you talking anything. It's like, yeah, they may look appealing on the surface, but you would become more interested in what's beyond that once you know yourself. So you have a set of standards, you have a set of morals that you are equipped with. So that way can't nobody run no game on you. And vice versa for the males, you
Yeah.
can't just approach me with with the curves and all the makeup and looking super sweet, you would need to be able to offer more. Like, where's your mind at? What are you doing with your life? And what type of morals and standards do you live by? Where are your fundamentals? That applies to all of us, male or female.
Oh my God. Okay, so listen, I'm laughing, right? I am laughing because I am reflecting back to like a very recent TikTok debate
Uh-huh.
where I got kind of kicked off the stage. Nonetheless, that's a whole story.
Wow.
That's a whole other story. Okay, so first of
Interesting.
all, okay, so the conversation was pretty much what you were talking about, right?
Okay.
So, it was, how you go live on TikTok and, you can request to go, live with someone, whatever. So we're up there, we're live, we're kicking it. It's fun. I think it was like Christmas Eve. We just like, whatever. So, um, I don't know, but the conversation was between a lady and a man, right? And pretty much the guy stated that throwing out like he has a house, 6 cars, and blah blah blah, whatever, right? Now, mind you, this is an open conversation, right? So I was just like, I just have a question. What does that have to do with anything, right? Like, you do realize, like, after women received the right to vote, we got the right to work, which means that Black women are the most educated in the country, right? And we're making our own money. Well, I wasn't talking to you, but this is an open conversation. But I want to know, what does all of this have to do with anything, right? Why are you
Yeah.
why are you presenting to me what I can get myself, right? It's almost like you
Hmm.
saying, do you want a chihuahua? I mean, it would be nice, Coco. I mean, she would have a playmate, but I already got one, right? I already
Yeah.
have one. Oh, do you want a car? I have one. Like, what else
Yeah.
you got?
Yeah,
What else you
exactly. Yeah, and women have the advantage of using, using their bodies to flaunt. Males, on the other hand, don't have that advantage. So oftentimes they'll use material to flaunt. That's
got?
what the example you just gave sounds like. And so, again, when you know better, and as you mentioned, if you got those basic things already covered, yeah, that will prompt you to the next question. What else do you have? Or not so much as what you have to offer, but what are what are you what are your expectations? How can we create a bond of sorts? What is this all that there is? Because otherwise you can kind of gauge that it's probably only going to go so far. you
Right,
know
'cause it's like you ain't offering no peace. Like, you might get beat up because you're
yeah,
not talking about
emotional
if you can
security.
protect me.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't
Yep.
feel safe. I don't feel protected.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can fight. I mean, but you got
And
cars.
hopefully you don't ever get to that point where something go down and you are tested. you know those are some things that you know two individuals could speak about when you first
Mhm.
start dating. Do you have any formal training? You look into each other's background on a basic level. It doesn't have to be, you ain't got to be like a UFC fighter or nothing, but you want to know if this man could not only defend himself, but if you all are together, can he defend the both of you if something were to happen? Do you know how to, stand in the face of adversity?
Mm-hmm.
Those are some fundamental things, you know. Uh, and on the contrary, it's like, well, men may want to know. I've heard this from a lot of my peers also. It's like, okay, we might be up coming out the gate, but if I ever fell off, would you still be there? Or, you know, are you going to, you know, get lost because I fell off as the leader? You know, that's a question that
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't really speak on when they first start dating, or if they get to a point at least where things may get more serious and it goes beyond dating. If they want to solidify that relationship, those are some of the basic things that one should ask or want to know. In addition to checking that ID, because you know it's a lot of deception out here too. So you know you got to be careful.
You know, I always say know what you're signing up for, right?
Yeah,
That's the golden rule. Know what
yeah.
you're signing up for,
Mm-hmm.
because if I say, you know, we're gonna date, right? Like, what is the intention, right? What is the intention behind dating? Because me, marriage is not on my to do list. You know, I'm not that chick that been looking at wedding gowns, right? I'm not that chick that have a wedding in the back of my mind, so when that day come, I'm ready to go,
Yeah.
right? I'm not her,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I say, listen, you know, that ain't on my to-do list, right? We not gonna play house. You gonna live at least 20 minutes away. Like, you know
Can't
what
be
I mean?
neighbors.
Like, you know, like we're here for companionship, we're dating, and this
Mhm.
is what it is. Like, I have no intentions on making it legal.
Mhm.
You know, I don't want that business arrangement.
Yeah.
It's like, are you still expected to pick up the pieces somewhere else when you have your own
Right.
thing going on, when that's not the initial relationship that you signed up for in the first place?
Right. Right. And you know what you just mentioned, and what you also mentioned previously, excuse me, reminds me of that saying of first impression is everything. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we were talking before about how some individuals can be labeled as superficial because they only choose to deal with what's on the surface. But again, when it comes to gauging expectations off the top, you know, however they may be, one has to gauge their expectations. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, when it comes to those types of things, it's just it'll save you a lot of time. It'll save you a lot of headache and hassle and heartbreak. You know, in the long run. I ain't mean to use all them H words, but just saying, if you know how to look beyond the surface, you know, you'll be able to see a lot more and save yourself a lot of time. But the other thing is using proper judgment. You know, we talked about it before. If somebody approach you and they raggedy, they not well put together, they out here walking in pajama pants, it's like you it's hard to take an individual serious when they present themselves that way. Not saying
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have our days and whatnot, but if dating is something you are interested in, you are actually pursuing a real relationship, or you want to date with the intention of it leading to something more that can be built upon, not to sound old fashioned or anything, but one has to present themselves in a way that is, you know, appealing but not distracting. You have to really take the time to build on your natural self, you know, present yourself in the best way that you can. And I would even go as far as to say make it formal. Again, it's no need to try to uh impress someone with a bunch of glitter and shiny things and stuff like that. Allow an individual to see you in a natural way, so that way it keeps you from jumping over hurdles to try to appease the other individual. And I'm saying this for male or female because we both are capable. We both have our ways, as I mentioned before, of trying to, be a peacock in so many ways. We want to flash pizzazz, like we in the club or something. And it's like, that's not always the most appropriate setting. You know, I've mentioned to my peers before again, what I found most effective in terms of dating is meeting a person or meeting the individual that you want to date in a place to where there's little to no distraction, somewhere where it's safe, not super secluded, but perhaps semi secluded, like a park
Mhm.
or a library. I know a lot of us don't necessarily go to the library nowadays, but it is a great place to be able to, have dialogue. Even if you don't go inside the library, you can be in the library parking lot or something like that, somewhere out in the open, in public, to where it's no distractions. You can see each other for who you really are, even if that's not a place you're interested in, the park or whatever. It just offers a setting to where it's clarity and you're not getting all distracted. Nobody's distracted. It don't cost you an arm and a leg to be there. You know what I'm saying? Those are some basic things that will help individuals gauge those expectations and see beyond the superficial. Because, as I mentioned before, I ain't going nowhere if you going out and you got your bonnet on and your pajama pants and
I mean,
house
why
shoes.
not? I got my bonnet like right in there.
You can't you can't do nothing with that. I don't see how one could be taken serious in that type of presenting themselves in that way. And it's not even to be disrespectful, but when you dress like that and you go out in public, it just looks like you crawled out of bed. You didn't take the time to get yourself together, and you're not ready. That's a sure uh exterior. That you can call that superficial, but, well, that's a surefire way to find out if somebody is serious about dating or their intention is to build and have something serious with you. So,
Oh, okay, so like I'm not gonna necessarily push back on that per se, but I do want to talk about the whole superficial aspect of like the way someone look and dress,
mhm.
right? So, well, you know what? I lied. I am gonna push back a little bit, right? So,
I figured something was coming. It's all
so
good.
okay, so like you see a chick at the store, right? Chick got on her pajamas and some boots and a bonnet, right? And it's real obvious, like, okay. Now that ain't your cup of tea. That ain't up to your standard, right? But who's to say that ain't somebody else's standard?
It may be. It
Right?
may
Somebody
be.
else may be like, okay, yeah, whatever, whatever. But that's when you're talking about social economics, right? To be
Mhm.
perfectly honest, right? Like,
No
no
doubt.
shade, we're getting into the whole social economic piece when you're talking about the
Let's
way
get it.
you leave the house and the way in which you present yourself, right?
Hmm.
And your upbringing and everything, right? Because
Hmm.
social economic doesn't always mean money. It does, but it doesn't at the same time. Like
Hmm.
me growing up, like we ain't have it like that. Not at all.
Agreed.
We
Agreed.
lived in, a rather nice neighborhood. And no, that was not allowed. You don't leave the house like that. You don't present yourself like that. That's a no no. You just don't do it. It's not up for discussion. Right?
Right.
Now, you meet, okay, like for me. or let's say for women in general, right? You have a woman and she meets a guy, he's great or whatever, right? But his style is not to her liking, should say. And she disqualifies him, right? Because pretty much like you don't match my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that wrong? Right? Because I want to say this. Okay, so like I know men, and I'm talking about adult men, grown men over the age of 40, that does not own a suit, right? Your entire wardrobe is streetwear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not, no, streetwear is cool, because some look nice, but like when you look like you on a block all the time, and you got the cardies on, and and that's how you rep it. I can't I can't take you to no gala. You think I'm gonna pull up to
Yeah.
you, pull up
Yeah.
to a gala
Right.
with you if I know this is my thing and these are the things that I like doing. These are the
Right.
spaces that I'm in. You know,
Mm-hmm. For sure. You know.
you think you're about to go up to Lansing with us on the bus? No, no,
Right.
no, because you
Right.
don't own a pair of dress shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't own a sports coat. Like you
Right.
don't own a belt.
Yeah. And
That ain't your style. You are disqualified based
yeah.
on your style. Now, that
Mm-hmm.
may be somebody else's style. You go with it, right? You can go like to the clubs or whatever, and that attire is appropriate. But where I'm
Mm-hmm.
going, that ain't appropriate. So let's not even waste each other's time because we're not compatible based on those things, based on that
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that could be considered superficial. Oh, you may be missing your blessing. But where I'm gonna take you? Where we going? What
Right.
we gonna do?
Right. Right. And you make a valid point too, because to answer your question in short, no, I don't think it's wrong because we all occupy different levels of standards. I mean, it may be someone's cup of tea, as you mentioned, to meet a person with, that come outside in they PJs. They might be doing the same thing, probably. So that's okay with them, And so, by societal standards, clearly that could be defined as a low standard, possibly. But again, it's subjective. It's subjective in that point. But to your other point of owning a suit for a male, one would say, oh, well, I can't afford a suit or whatever the case. Oftentimes, especially us as black males, we aren't or hadn't been always educated or shown how to wear a suit or to be fitted for a suit.
Hmm.
And just for the record, not being biased, but for the record, it's not as difficult as it seems. You can go to a men's warehouse and get your measurements done. You can go to a K&G superstore, and get your measurements done. That's the first point. For all the male listeners who may not know, now you know. It's not that difficult. And you can find separates and things of that nature. You get your basics covered. You get you a pair of dress shoes. Start off with a black suit and a white shirt. It's real simple. And those are versatile items that you can wear. It's just like at any occasion you can wear. You can go to a gala, as you mentioned. You can go to a funeral. You can go to a job interview. You can do all of that in a black suit with a white shirt and a black tie, even.
Hmm.
That's one of the most basic formal bits of wardrobe that one could acquire. And I encourage all the male listeners and anybody tuned in to work on that, because that is an investment into yourself. That's going to get you through more doors as opposed to always dressing, wearing street clothes and athletic wear. Yeah, that is the easiest thing to throw on. But again, if you want to be taken more serious, more
We don't like that.
respected, yeah, that would be a suggestion from yours truly. And I will say it is highly effective, if I may say so myself. But again, to just reiterate on your question, is it wrong? No, because it's subjective to an individual standards, and if you have those standards, that's okay. At least it would be good to know if the individual had a suit in their wardrobe, because you may not, meet at a gala off the top. You may go to a park. Hey, I might want to just wear jeans and a t-shirt on this nice spring or summer day, and we meet at the park. It's no
Mhm.
need to wear an entire suit. But again, it goes right back to that, what we spoke on in terms of preparedness. you know Before you even get out here, have those things together. Know how to groom yourself. Proper hygiene is paramount, male or female, because it's, again, them ones that just be rolling out of bed, they might not wash their face or brush their teeth. They still out here with the eye boogers, walking around in their pajamas and bonnets and do-rags, and it's not a good look. Again, it just shows that this wasn't your intention. You probably just, not even thinking, not really not caring. When you really look at it from a psychological standpoint, probably just don't care. That it shows where your priorities are also. And it's unfortunate, but that's something that one will have to think about if they are to conduct themselves in that way, having those standards, not caring. Yeah.
And you know what? I just thought about it. Like we like when you mentioned that, like the whole bonnet thing. Oh my god, like it just annoys my soul, right?
Yeah.
Like I live in an apartment, right? So in my building we have a convenience store, right? And I love,
Mhm.
if I
Mhm.
leave outside of my door to go downstairs to the store, I'm taking my bonnet off and I'm putting on clothes,
Please.
right? I'm
Right.
taking my bonnet off if I go down the hall to throw away trash.
Right.
It's just that thing. I
Mhm.
saw on TikTok earlier, um, this girl was walking and she was just like, I just want to know, is it ghetto for me to be out here wearing a bonnet if I'm going to get my lashes and eyebrows done? Yeah.
I figure, yeah, it is. And I understand. I got sisters, I got female cousins, stuff like that. Uh I've heard it mentioned that the bonnet, it preserve your hairstyle. I could be wrong, but I could understand if that's the case, but there's still other means of doing that without wearing a bonnet, you know.
Okay, so bonnets are meant to be worn at night when you're sleeping, right? Bonnets, it preserves your hairstyle. But what's the point of a hairstyle if you're gonna cover it all the time? What are you preserving, right? I even
Exactly.
I even feel bad. Like I be like, oh my god, like who's looking at me when I have to take my hair down, wash my hair. I don't have no chemicals in it. It's all over the place, and I'm on my way to get my hair done. Like
Right.
I feel crazy, right? And this was, oh my god, what was it? Maybe like some months ago, right? So I had a neurology appointment, right? Because everyone knows that, or who doesn't know, like I get these migraines and like tension headaches, right? So these tension headaches occur just about every day. So my neurologist was like, listen, we need to, find out what's going on. I had the CT scan, the MRI, whatever. So it was this one particular test that required me to show up with no chemicals in my hair, no braids, no extensions. I was like, what's the earliest appointment? Like,
Some while it's still dark in the morning.
yes, yes, right. And
Yeah.
I literally I took off the entire day, right? I was just like, I am not coming to work today because immediately following my neurology appointment, I gotta get my hair done.
Right.
I already got my weave in the car. It's already in my purse. Like as soon as like, can I get my weave done here so I don't have to leave
Yeah.
with
And
my hair looking like this?
that
Like I
that's
feel bad.
that's actually justifiable though. That's a good reason to be out and not have that done. But you also weren't still wearing your pajamas either. Hopefully not. But
No,
again,
but
it's certain things that you do. Like you don't want to be out here walking around looking like you got a thing, a Jiffy Pop on your head. Like
right,
that's
looking
not where it's at.
crazy.
That's not where it's at.
No, 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 no. And so I'm gonna say this. Check this out, right? So for my ladies out here, can we replace the bonnets with wigs? Right? That's all I'm saying, right? If if your hair ain't done, can we at least throw a wig on and go to the store? Because it's gonna take the same amount of time for you to put the bonnet on or a wig. Like, can we do that? At least look like you
And
put
see,
some effort
that's
in.
yeah, and that's a good point, and that's bare minimum. If you can't do nothing else, you ain't got no hair. I can respect that, even though I'm not too fond of the wigs and whatnot. I can respect at least that. If you can't get it together, or maybe she wasn't taught to do her own natural hair, then I can respect that. And it's always opportunities to learn, but shoot, where the natural styles at? I think a lot of men can appreciate, a lot of black men can appreciate a natural style, and hey, it's ways of growing hair. Hey, if we both capable, it's men with long hair. Women can do it too. You talked about the locks and all that. It's possible. We can work together and do that. We don't want to have our people out here looking like patchwork. Up on the top. It's ways we can do that. We gotta take care of each other.
And you know what? Like you mentioned, and this is another debate. As it pertains to gender wars. Men and women, like this whole rebuttal, right?
Hmm.
Because I hear it a lot that most men prefer a natural woman, right?
Mm.
Natural hair, no makeup, no lashes, you
Hmm.
know, all of that, right?
Hmm.
But I like looking like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Hmm.
like my lashes. Uh,
Hmm.
when you're talking about natural hair, sir,
Why
like
do you like it?
are you going to be the one straightening it every day, combing it every day? Are you going to be doing that? Because if not, I'm about to go get this bust down sew in. I'm gonna put this bonnet on, and in the morning I'm gonna shake and go, right? Because that's what's gonna make
Respect.
my life more convenient,
W-
right? And
w-
it's all
w-
about, and I'm not saying like in the sense of like it's all about me and forget you or whatever. Again, you have to know what it is you're signing up for, right? If you meet a woman and she ain't natural, she ain't gonna be natural tomorrow. Just because y'all kicking it or this is your preference, or if you're talking years into the situation, right? Yeah, I like natural, but best believe my bust down is on its way. Right? It's just gonna
Why
be listen,
is
it's
it?
gonna be a 24-inch bust down when I'm ready for it.
respect. So why is it that you like that though? Why is it something? Because I've heard women say things like, well, they only wear the extensions and the lashes and the makeup because it's what they men like. But why is it that you like those things? What if the man that you was with said he didn't like it after he was presented to you, or he presented himself to you in a way, and then perhaps after the fact he told you, he want to see you in a more natural way.
That's not
Because I
the man for
mean,
me.
because it's obvious. It's it'll become obvious if you wearing the things that aren't naturally attached to you. They do look nice when you put them together the right way, but just asking hypothetically, I suppose,
Hmm.
why do you like those things? And if so, would you be willing to make adjustments or remove some of those things if the man that you were dating or in a relationship with asked that?
No, because you know what? That's not the man for me. Because you can't come and change who I am, right? And not necessarily like saying like all the aesthetics is who I am and who and what I represent, because I'm so much more than nails, lashes, or whatever, right? But it's almost as to say, why is this your favorite color? Why do you like wearing this shirt? Right? Because I think I look good in it, right? Um, why is your favorite color blue? Right?
Mm.
I don't want you to wear blue anymore. I want you to wear yellow. Is that fair? If you think, if you look in the mirror and you say, "Damn, I look good in blue," and someone comes and says, I don't do blue. I like yellow. I prefer yellow. You look so much better in yellow.
I
Can you
don't
wear
do blue.
yellow?" And you just like, that ain't my thing, right?
But colors of clothing ain't permanent. That's always interchangeable. The same way as, an extension of hair or nails. It's not necessarily permanent. They interchangeable.
Yeah, because I'm all natural, right? Like I ain't had no surgery, nowhere. So like I am 100% natural. Like all of this can come out tomorrow. My lashes can come off in, it'll take what, 10 minutes for me to get them all off, right? Like, well, my eyebrows are tatted, but nonetheless, my lips are real, right? My face is real, right? So it's not permanent. I'm not out here, getting BBLs. I'm not out here getting tummy tucks. I'm not out here, with the fake body, yada yada, right? I'm not like, I'm not doing that, right? But like you said, colors are interchangeable, right? Just as hairstyles, right? So
Mhm,
yeah, I have been natural. You've seen me natural before, Kevin, right?
mhm,
Like I have no issue with it. But a man can't come in and say, "This is what I want and I prefer you to be natural," because that's not gonna fly with me. You
mhm,
know, because you need to, and I'm not even gonna say allow me, because I'm gonna make my own rules, right? I'm gonna be interchangeable. One day I can be natural, the next day I may not, right? Some days
mhm.
I show up with no lashes. Some days my lashes are up to here, right? I mean,
You be
it
wearing the
depends on how I'm
caterpillar.
feeling when I wake up.
Yeah. No, hey, point taken. That's a valid point. And it goes right back to what we spoke about in terms of, your standards and the types of things that, you look for. And if it's certain things that you're not willing to change, then hey, so be it. To each their own. It's definitely advantageous for a male or female to have some versatility in their wardrobe and their style and things of that nature, for sure. And some would say it's not so bad to try new things, or change up the style every once in a while. It don't
Mhm.
have to be drastic, but those subtle things ultimately keep you with that spark. It keeps you in a position to where you can make it through any type of door. You can go to any type of event, and you're ready, you're equipped, but again, to each their own, for sure. It's important for us to remember that, but again, it's just a part of being comfortable with yourself, as we all should be, you know. So
Yeah,
I
and
definitely would see your point.
I think that's the most important thing, right? To be comfortable with yourself, and not just being comfortable with yourself, but just to be unapologetic with
Mm,
yourself, right? Because this is where, men and women, this is where we go wrong in relationships and dating. You know, it's just like we change those subtle things to appeal the other person, right? And
mm,
that's not fair. You take me as I am, or you don't take me at all, right? So if you come in and you say, I don't like the weave, I don't like this, I would prefer natural, then you need to go find a natural, because that ain't me.
mm,
That ain't me today. It may be
hmm.
me tomorrow. I mean, but next week my hair might be blonde. I don't know. I don't know, right?
No
But
doubt.
but this is where we get caught up into the superficialness too, right? Because you look at someone on the surface, as you said. So if you really rock with that person, and that person, you know, is your person, and you have, look beyond the superficial, why are you worried about if that person is all natural or not?
For sure. And also being decisive, and as you said, unapologetic, standing on what it is that you actually want. And if it's not for you, understanding it's not the end of the world. It's no hard feelings. That don't mean the entire dating pool is just sabotage. It's That's where, again, going within, understanding yourself, understanding what you truly want, male or female, and building upon that. Conducting yourself in a way, establishing your standards, uh, knowing what to expect, gauging your expectations. It's a must. It's a must.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So dang, like it's crazy. It has been an hour already, like
Wow.
to
That
the
didn't
hour,
feel like an
right?
hour.
I know, right? So
Just scratching the surface.
I know, right? We could go on and on and on and on about this, but I do want to respect your time, and I do want to thank you again for always, pulling up when necessary, and just kind of diving in, because your voice is so very important, in this
I
conversation.
appreciate that.
And I'm looking forward to what brothers and sisters have coming up in the future.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Okay,
indeed.
so
Definitely appreciate you.
yeah, so I know they're coming up with something, right?
Oh yeah, it's in the
Okay.
works. Be on the lookout. Be sure to check out our content on Mirror Image Media. You can find us on Instagram, on YouTube. We got content up. Definitely, we want to ultimately highlight relationships in a constructive way. We want to offer a platform for us to have dialogue just like this, and it be constructive for each of us, for all of those who are involved in the Black community in particular. So definitely be sure to check that out. We got some goodies on the way for the sisters as well. So definitely stay tuned. Shout out to all your listeners, your audience, Miss Nikki, for all the support is greatly appreciated, and always a pleasure to be here on the platform with She Evolves. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, y'all. So we are at the end of our show. I can't believe it's been an hour already. But if you are not following me, make sure you do. I'm live on Instagram. I finally figured out how to do it. It took me a minute, but I got it. I'm on there. So make sure that you follow me on Insta. You like that subscribe button on what is it? On what is it? YouTube. Yes, it's on YouTube. I am
Hit that
live here.
notification bell too.
Yes, yes. Make sure you hit the notification bell because you're gonna want to know when I go live. So make sure you keep tapping in, making sure you keep up with the content. Make sure you do all of those great things. So this is what the last show of the year, y'all. So everyone, I wish you a very blessed and safe and prosperous end of the year. And we are going to go into 2005. And I guess the lesson of the day is to stand on business.
Yes, indeed. 2025 is on. Great things to come.
So I'm ready. So bye. Happy New Year, everyone. I'll see y'all next year.
Peace, y'all. Appreciate it.